Good morning. We come to you with devastating news of one of India's worst ever train accidents. At this stage, 233 people are dead, over 900 people injured. 3 trains were involved in a freak accident at about 7 p.m. last night, 2 of them very major trains. One of them, the Shalimar-Chennai Coromandel Express, and the other one, the Yashwantpur Howrah Superfast Express. There was a third train which was a goods train. The impact of all of these 3 trains took place in Balasore in Odisha. There is a massive rescue effort which was on throughout the night, but at this stage it's safe to say that that rescue effort has more or less come to an end. It's now all about extricating the bodies of those who tragically perished over here. More than 230 people have died, over 900 injured. We do know that 900 odd people have been taken to hospital. Some of them have been discharged, but again, that we are told that the condition of many of those in hospital very, very serious. That is the detail we have over the day today. We will try and piece together, based on the information that we get, information on just what took place in Balasore. We'll be bringing you maps as well of what exactly happened. Remember, the Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Express, one of the most important trains in the country, passenger train, was traveling south when at some stage there were a couple of bogies which derailed. Whether they derailed or it was put into a loop line by mistake, we don't know. The Yashwantpur Howrah Superfast, another very important train. Yashwantpur is in Bengaluru, in the Bengaluru area. That was traveling north, and that collided with the train which was going south, which was the Coromandel Express. Where the third train, the goods train, actually comes into this picture, that is unclear at this juncture, but Odisha officials clearly telling us last night as well that there have been 3 trains which have been involved. Over here on your screen, the people in the maroon, I beg your pardon, in the orange kit are National Disaster Relief Force and State Disaster Relief Force workers. They've been working through the night in trying to cut through the metal, in trying to get the very latest in terms of trying to extricate as many people out of there who are alive. But I think by about 11 p.m. last night, it had become increasingly clear that the number of survivors beyond those who had actually been pulled out would be very few. And sadly, what started out, and we heard this at about 10 p.m. or a little after last night, of this being a tragedy involving the deaths of 30, then that number went up to about 38 dead. This morning, that number rose to 200. At this stage, 233 dead, over 900 injured in one of the worst train accidents in India's history. The Chief Minister of Odisha has been at that spot. He's visited that spot. He's issued statements as well. There's a day of mourning which has been announced by the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister as well. Everybody from the President down, the Prime Minister, reactions. On the right of your screen is Mr. Stalin, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. He is monitoring the situation at this particular center which has been set up in Chennai. Remember, this was the Coromandel Express which was coming south from Shalimar in West Bengal when this accident took place. So a lot of those who were on that train would be perhaps residents of Tamil Nadu, residents perhaps of the greater Chennai area. And Mr. Stalin over there very, very worried. He was in fact the first senior official leader to actually confirm that this was an incident with fatalities. It just turned into an absolute nightmare. Nobody would have expected, and we were reporting this throughout the evening last night and late into the night, that this would actually become so much worse than what we thought it was last night, because it had taken a lot of time to get confirmations on fatalities, and the number we initially picked up was 30. This morning, when we started getting more inputs, that number had jumped to 200. It then went up to more than 230. It's 233 is the last that we have, And I think it's important for us to spare a thought at this stage for those who remain critically injured in the hospitals. Hospitals across that area were activated late last night. Hundreds of ambulances were put into place. This is an aspect of this relief operation which actually worked fairly seamlessly. The transfer of survivors onto ambulances, there were distances involved because there were many hospitals in the area which were activated. But that ambulance convoy to various hospitals is something that went on relatively smoothly. A lot of people were discharged at that stage, those who had minor injuries, but tragically so many have lost their lives. So that's what we have. Over the next couple of hours, we're going to be bringing you many more reactions. So again, 3 trains injured, 3 trains involved, 900 injured passengers. The hospitals that I mentioned, they've been treated in Balasore, Mayurbhanj, Bhadrak, Jajpur and the Cuttack districts. This is according to the Chief Secretary, Pradeep Jaina. In fact, it was Mr. Jaina this morning who tweeted the fatality count at more than 233. In terms of the preliminary information, and I'd like to stress that it is preliminary information. The railways are trying to figure out what went wrong. There was apparently a goods train standing on the track. It was static, it was not moving in Balasore. The Coromandel Express got a signal, and for whatever the reason was, it moved onto that same track, and that is where the first disaster took place, when the Coromandel Express from Shalimar in West Bengal going south to Chennai, that is where it made its first impact. It smashed into this good train, 2 to 3 bogies at least directly impacted. On the parallel line going up is the Yashwantpur, and Yashwantpur in the Bengaluru area, Howrah Superfast Express, that crashed into the derailed bogies of the Coromandel Express, and that made this situation far worse, as you can see. So 3 trains involved. Reactions coming in. Let's listen in.
बहुत ही बड़ी ट्रैजिक एक्सीडेंट है ये, और सभी दिवंगत आत्माओं के साथ हमारी प्रार्थना है। कल रात से कंटिन्यूअसली रेलवे, एनडीआरएफ, एसडीआरएफ और राज्य सरकार सभी मिलके रेस्क्यू का ऑपरेशन कर रहे हैं। कंप्लीट मोबिलाइजेशन किया गया है। इधर बालेश्वर की तरफ से, उधर भुवनेश्वर की तरफ से कंप्लीट मोबिलाइजेशन किया है। टाटानगर से, सब जगह से मोबिलाइजेशन किया है, ताकि मैक्सिमम इस तरह की बड़ी ट्रेजेडी में जितना एफर्ट लगाया जाए उतना कम होता है। कंपेंसेशन का अमाउंट कल रात में रेलवे की तरफ से डिक्लेयर हो गया था। एक हाई लेवल कमेटी भी ऑलरेडी डिक्लेयर हो गई है, जो कि इस पूरे एक्सीडेंट में इंक्वायरी करेगी। कमिश्नर रेल सेफ्टी को भी बुलाया गया है, वो भी इंक्वायरी करेंगे और इस प्रॉब्लम के, इस एक्सीडेंट के रूट कॉज में जाएंगे। किस कारण से ये प्रॉब्लम हुई, वो पूरा का पूरा टेक्निकल से और किस भी कारण से हुई हो, वो समझा जाएगा।
My colleague Saurabh Gupta is at the site of the crash. He sent us this report just a few minutes back.
The train had left Howrah in the afternoon, Shalimar rather, and was travelling towards Chennai. The Yashwantpur Express was coming in the opposite direction. But here, of course, you can see the debris right now here that you see in front of me in these pictures is what remains of the Coromandel Express. What you see in front of me is a sleeper class compartment of the train, and also some belongings strewn here of passengers. Many of them who boarded the train on those journey will never make it to their destination. Families broken, families losing their loved ones. 233 people have already died, and this is really, as we said, one of the worst railway tragedies in recent times. Just look at the condition of that coach, and this of course is how bad it is. If you see from here, this coach is completely mangled, and then of course you can see coaches in front there on the other side also completely mangled. These men you see in orange uniform have been working all through the night, non-stop, to pull out people. These are men from the NDRF who brought in their equipment to try and actually, bring people out alive. But again, there's a limitation to how much even they can do. But at this point, you can see, rescue teams here working, and also you can see atop that coach, which is completely mangled. There are officers, rescue officers, medical teams who are here, who are trying to make every minute count, every second count, as they try and bring out more people. Let me just take you across to the other side of these compartments, and of course that will give you another picture from another angle, and perhaps explain how bad this situation really is. This is really one of the worst railway collisions, train collisions in recent times. It is also perhaps one of the worst that Odisha has experienced, and the last time something like this happened perhaps was the Ganeshwari Express. The Ganeshwari Express that happened near Jhargram, that accident happened near Jhargram. But of course now you can see, look at this side of this coach, and let me just show you this railway track. A railway track is supposed to be straight. If I could ask my camera person Aniruddha Tripathi to show you this track, look how it's bent completely, and see how it's taken a turn, almost swerving to the right under the impact of the of the collision. Now of course, look at this side. Look at this. This is of course the coach, a sleeper class coach that's completely damaged. Inside, of course, you can see inside the coach also from here. And this is of course visuals from the accident site early in the morning. Look at this coach completely on top of the goods train. That is the goods train involved. There are two passenger trains, and then you have a goods train involved. This really is the goods train involved in this crash. And of course, here if you look, belongings of passengers who never made it to their destination and lost their lives in this most horrible railway accident, a train collision. Just look at the wheels of this train. Also, the wheels have suffered immense damage, and now of course these coaches will not only have to be removed, it's going to take a while for railway traffic to resume on this route because the damage is so bad. And this of course will give you a sense of how bad the damage is. Look at the top. This is the top of the railway coach. This is the top of the railway coach. Just look at the damage here. Many dead bodies pulled out from this debris and 233 people have died in this railway tragedy in Bahanaga Bazaar in Balasore district of Odisha. We are of course at the site of the railway accident, bringing you live pictures of the rescue and relief operations that are taking place here. And of course, the mangled coaches will give you an idea of how bad the situation is. The NDRF has been working all night. So has the ODRAF, the Odisha team. But let me just take you to the other side and show you what's happening here. And of course, give you a sense of how bad this tragedy really is. Now, if you come this side, of course, these are the NDRF men who've been working all through the night, trying to bring out people alive. That's their aim. But unfortunately now mostly what is being pulled out is dead bodies. Let me bring you this side and show you on this side how of course this situation is. Now this is the engine of a train, and this of course here is the engine of a train, and they of course are also trying to imagine. Look at this coach, completely overturned. This really is the situation here. The railway minister is expected here. NDRF working all through the night to bring out people, rescue people, and of course at this point really rescue operations are still going on to see if they can find anyone. And of course these pictures will show you how bad this situation is. Completely mangled coaches that have turned turtle and are lying on the tracks right now as railway officials, as rescue teams work round the clock to try and get a sense of this tragedy. Now on this side, let me show you, of course, another completely overturned coach. This was the coach I was showing you earlier. This is from the other side, and of course Look at that coach there, completely overturned. And this is really what we are seeing here as far as, the debris is concerned in this railway tragedy. The sleepers, these are railway track sleepers. See how they've been damaged, completely damaged. And then, of course, look at this compartment here, completely overturned. Again, belongings of passengers lying around here. Many of them have not completed their journey. Many of them perhaps no more. And of course, this side, if you see, again, look at this. Shalimar, Chennai, Howrah. That's the Coromandel Express. That's the S3 bogie. This is, of course, the S5 bogie. Look at the condition of S4. As the rescue officials try and, get.
All right, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister speaking. Let's listen in.
அடுத்த 4 அல்லது 5 தினங்களில் தங்கியிருந்து மீட்பு மற்றும் நிவாரணப் பணிகளில் தொடர்ந்து ஒருங்கிணைத்து அங்கு பாதிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கக்கூடிய தமிழர்களுக்கு தேவையான உதவிகளை செய்ய இந்திய ஆட்சிப்பணி அலுவலர்கள், இந்திய காவல்பணி அதிகாரிகள் மற்றும் மாவட்ட வருவாய் அலுவலர்கள் ஆகியோரும் அனுப்பி வைக்கப்படுகின்றனர். அங்குள்ள காவல்துறையினருடன் இணைந்து பணிகளை மேற்கொள்ள தமிழகத்தைச் சேர்ந்த கூடுதல் காவல்துறை இயக்குனர் திரு சந்தீப் மிட்டல் IPS அனுப்பி வைக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறார். ஏற்கனவே பொதுமக்களுக்கு தகவல்கள் அளிக்க மாநில அரசுடைய கட்டுப்பாட்டு அறைகள் இரவு முதல் துவங்கி அது செயல்பட்டுக் கொண்டிருக்கிறது. நான் தற்போது தென்னக ரயில்வேயின் கட்டுப்பாட்டு அறைக்கு சென்று அங்கு விபத்தில் பாதிக்கப்பட்ட மக்களை தொடர்பு கொள்வதற்கும் அவர்களுக்கு தேவையான உதவிகளை செய்வதற்கு மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்டிருக்கக்கூடிய நடவடிக்கைகள் குறித்து கேட்டு அறிந்து கொண்டேன். இந்த விபத்தில் பாதிக்கப்பட்டு தமிழ்நாடு வந்து சேர முடியாதவர்களையும் பல ரயில் சேவைகள் ரத்து செய்யப்பட்டதால் விபத்து நடந்த இடத்திலிருந்து சென்னைக்கு திரும்ப இயலாதவர்களையும் அழைத்து வருவதற்கு சிறப்பு ரயில் ஏற்பாடு செய்யப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. விபத்தில் பாதிக்கப்பட்டவர்களுக்கு தேவையான மருத்துவ சிகிச்சை அளிக்கவும் உயிரிழந்தவர்களின் உடல்களை கொண்டு வருவதற்கு தமிழக அரசு எல்லா ஏற்பாடுகளையும் செய்து வருகிறது. விபத்து குறித்த தகவல்களை தெரிந்து கொள்வதற்காக மாநில கட்டுப்பாட்டு செல்போன் நம்பர் 9445869843 தொலைபேசி எண் 1070, வாட்ஸ்அப் எண் 9458698848 ஆகிய எண்களை பொதுமக்கள் தொடர்பு கொள்ளலாம் என்றும் தெரிவிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. ஒடிசா மாநில நிர்வாகத்தோடு நமது அதிகாரிகள் தொடர்பில் இருந்து தேவையான ஒருங்கிணைப்பு பணிகளை தொடர்ந்து மேற்கொண்டு வருகிறார்கள். தற்போது இங்குள்ள மாநில பேரிடர் மேலாண்மை கட்டுப்பாட்டு அறையில் காணொலி வாயிலாக ஒடிசா மாநில தலைமைச் செயலாளர் மற்றும் அதிகாரிகளுடன் அவர்கள் மேற்கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய மருத்துவ மற்றும் மீட்பு நடவடிக்கைகள் குறித்து நாங்கள் கேட்டறிந்தோம். மீட்பு பணிகள் மற்றும் பாதிக்கப்பட்டவர்கள் குடும்பங்களை தொடர்பு கொள்ளுதல் மற்றும் அவர்களுக்கு தேவையான உதவிகளை வழங்குதல் குறித்து தலைமைச் செயலாளர், காவல்துறை தலைவர் மற்றும் அரசு உயர் அதிகாரிகளோடு ஆலோசனைகளை நான் மேற்கொண்டேன். ஒடிசாவிற்கு அனுப்பி வைக்கப்பட்டுள்ள நம் அமைச்சர்கள் மற்ற அதிகாரிகள் அங்கு சென்று நமக்கு அளிக்கக்கூடிய விவரங்களின் அடிப்படையில் தமிழ்நாடு அரசு பாதிக்கப்பட்டவர்களுக்கும் அவர்களின் குடும்பங்களுக்கும் தேவையான உதவிகளை செய்யும் என்பதை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். ஆகவே இந்த சூழ்நிலையில் இன்றைய நாள் முத்தமிழறிஞர் தலைவர் கலைஞர் அவர்களின் சிலைக்கு மட்டும் மரியாதை செலுத்திவிட்டு விபத்தில் உயிரிழந்தவர்களுக்கு ஒரு நிமிடம் மௌன அஞ்சலியை நாங்கள் அனுசரித்தோம். இன்று ஒரு நாள் அரசு முறை துக்கம் அனுசரிக்கவும் முடிவெடுக்கப்பட்டுள்ளது. முத்தமிழறிஞர் கலைஞரின் 100வது பிறந்த நாள் தொடர்பாக இன்று நடைபெறுவதாக இருந்த அறிவிக்கப்பட்டிருந்த நிகழ்ச்சிகள், பொதுக்கூட்டங்கள் அனைத்தும் ரத்து செய்யப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. அது மட்டுமல்லாமல் இறந்த
Third centenary
இறந்தவர்களுக்கு
celebrations of Coromandel, the public
இறந்து
meeting, all have
போயிருக்கக்கூடிய
been
குடும்பங்களுக்கு
cancelled.
பிஎம்ஆர் பிரதமர் நிதியிலிருந்து 2 லட்சம் ரூபாய் வழங்கப்படுவது அறிவிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. அதேபோல் ரயில்வே துறையின் சார்பில் 10 லட்சம் ரூபாய் வழங்குவதாக அறிவிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. அதை ஒட்டி இந்த தமிழ்நாடு அரசின் சார்பில்
In a deeply polarized world, where space for disagreement is shrinking, where take it or leave it defines discourse, we take a step back. A debate has many facets, perhaps no one right answer. Left, right and center, conversations that get to the core of the debate. Left, right and center with me, Vishnu Shom, 9 p.m. on NDTV 24/7.
Debates are essential not just for journalism but for humanity. It ignites our mind, opens it up for counter opinion. To hear all views, opinion of all hues. Which is why the oldest running debate show on Indian news television is not 23 years old but young at 23.
इस इनिशिएटिव को मैं अभिनंदन करता हूं कि सच को सच के रूप में पेश करने का उन्होंने साहस दिखाया.
So let us begin the big fight.
This is NDTV. No noise, no shouting, and most importantly, no lies. Our lead story tonight. Big international story India is closely watching it. News that informs and inspires.
The news with Sonia Singh, Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7.
The only side we're on is yours.
It's undeniable. We're facing the crisis of the generation, climate change. And it's happening. Not in some far off distant land or some millions of years away. It's happening now. And it affects everything we know and love. Information around climate change can often feel too distant, too jargony, too scary, too anxiety-filled, too technical, or too political. I'm here to change that. The Climate Explainers, part of NDTV's 6-month-long campaign, building a blueprint for climate action. The climate clock is ticking, but we're just in time.
In a deeply polarized world, where space for disagreement is shrinking, where take it or leave it defines discourse, we take a step back. A debate has many facets, perhaps no one right answer. Left, right and center, conversations that get to the core of the debate. Left, right and center with me, Vishnu Shom, 9 p.m. on NDTV 24/7.
Debates are essential not just for journalism but for humanity. It ignites our mind, opens it up for counter opinion. To hear all views, opinion of all hues. Which is why the oldest running debate show on Indian news television is not 23 years old but young at 23.
इस इनिशिएटिव को मैं अभिनंदन करता हूं कि सच को सच के रूप में पेश करने का उन्होंने साहस दिखाया.
So let us begin the big fight.
This is NDTV. No noise, no shouting, and most importantly, no lies. Our lead story tonight. Big international story India is closely watching it. News that informs and inspires.
The news with Sonia Singh, Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7.
The only side we're on is yours.
It's undeniable. We're facing the crisis of the generation, climate change. And it's happening. Not in some far off.
Welcome back. This is a top angle. It's a drone shot of the site of the disaster in Bengaluru. I beg your pardon, in Balasore. One of the trains was coming in from Bengaluru. This was the Vishweshwaraya Express. The route was from Bengaluru to Hyderabad. This was the train going up. It collided with the Coromandel Express from Howrah to Chennai, which was coming south. Balasore is where the crash site actually was. The latest information that we have at this stage is that train number 12841, which is the Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Express, right? That is the train coming from Shalimar in West Bengal, and train number 12864, that the Sir M. Vishwesvaraya Howrah Superfast Express. That's a train which departs from Bengaluru, travels north to northeast to Howrah in West Bengal. They got derailed near Bahanaga Bazar railway station at around 6:55 p.m. last night. So accident relief trains, medical equipment, doctors, paramedics, they've all rushed to the site from Kharagpur and Bhadrak. As per the latest information, there are 238 casualties. Around 650 injured passengers have been taken to hospitals of Gopalpur, Kantapara, Balasore, Bhadrak and Soro in Odisha. The crash site, Balasore in Odisha. The railway minister is supervising. The general manager of the Southeastern Railways and other principal officers are at the site. Importantly, the 12864 Sir M. Vishwesvaraya Howrah Superfast Express, that's the train that departed from Bengaluru, as I mentioned, is now proceeding towards Howrah, right? The remaining elements of this train proceeding towards Howrah with 1,000 passengers. And a special train is also coming from Balasore towards Howrah with another additional 200 stranded passengers. Water, tea, food items are being provided to passengers at the Kharagpur station. Food packets will also be provided at the Howrah station on arrival of these trains. So, two elements over here. Again, I'd just like to repeat, and we'll have map graphics up showing this. One of the trains, the train going north, was the 12864 Sir M. Vishwesvaraya Howrah Superfast Express. That departs Bengaluru and it arrives in Howrah. The other train was the train travelling south, which was the Coromandel Express, the 12841 Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Express, departing Shalimar in West Bengal, and it was headed to Chennai. Both these trains collided in Balasore. Let's go across to NDTV Sam Daniel, who joins us for the very latest. Sam, we saw the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister speaking a few moments back. Can you share details of what he said?
Vishnu, the Tamil Nadu government has announced a day-long state mourning to begin with. A team of ministers and 3 bureaucrats are rushing to Odisha to coordinate with relief and rescue efforts. The focus is to treat the injured passengers immediately and to make arrangements for the stranded passengers to bring them back to Tamil Nadu. Also arrangements for bringing the mortal remains of those who lost their lives. And M.K. Stalin, the Chief Minister, also said he visited the control center of the Southern Railways to understand the system in place for the families who are anxiously waiting back home to get information about their near and dear ones. And he says based on the information the team that leaves Tamil Nadu would give after reaching Odisha, more arrangements would be done. He has assured that everything possible would be done to take care of the injured, to bring the bodies, and also to bring back the stranded passengers. He has been assured by the Odisha Chief Secretary that the medical facilities there are enough to take care of those injured. And the Tamil Nadu government has also kept a team of medical professionals ready just to send them there if required. Vishnu.
All right. Are we getting any reactions or anything at all from the relatives, family members of those on the Coromandel Express who were arriving from Howrah?
At the moment, no, but we hope that since the helplines have been given and more specific information have started coming, in the next few hours we can hope people sharing information about the condition of their stranded passengers or perhaps those who have lost their lives.
All right. Any further details that you can share with us from the Tamil Nadu side of things?
At the moment, the Tamil Nadu government says there's no clear information in terms of how many passengers who are from Tamil Nadu either killed or injured or stranded. They say even the railways or the Odisha government yet to give, but the team that's going from here, they hope will be able to expedite that. But they're awaiting for official information from the railways to begin with for more clarity on this. But at the moment, the focus, of course, is to treat those passengers there and to bring those bodies, anybody from Tamil Nadu killed in that accident, back home soonest. Vishnu.
All right, Sam, we'll come back to you in a little while from now. Thanks very much for sharing all of those details with us. I'm just looking at the route map at this stage of the 12841 Shalimar, of the 12864 Sarem Vishweshwaraya Howrah Superfast Express. And just for the benefit of our viewers, this is a train that departs from Bengaluru. It travels via Tirupati. It proceeds towards Balasore. En route, it crosses Nellore, Ongole, Bapatia, Vijayawada, Rajamundry, Vizag, Srikakulam, Brahmapur. It then crosses Bhubaneswar, Cuttack, and then it gets into Balasore, and it's after Balasore that just 4 stops after that is the Howrah Junction, which is where it was headed. So this crash took place as far as the Sir M. Vishweshwaraya Howrah Superfast Express is concerned. In Balasore, there were just Kharagpur, Mecheda, Shantragachi Junction, and then Howrah, which is where it was headed. So that is where just 4 stops away was the destination, and more than 30 stops had already been passed by the time of the impact. Now, stranded passengers from that train are now moving towards Howrah. The remains of whatever remains of the Vishweshwaraya Howrah Superfast Express, they've been moving. They're moving now in the direction of Howrah. There are 1,000 passengers on board. There's also a secondary train, a special train, moving from Balasore towards Howrah with 200 stranded passenger. Water, tea, food provisions are all being provided for them. So that is one of the trains. That's the train going north. The other one was the 12841 Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Express. Again, it's this train which is one of the most important, one of the major trains in this country. So we're trying to get more details of that as well. But I fear that the largest number of casualties may well have been from the Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Express. But again, we are waiting to try and understand. There are a few pictures over there which show one of the trains impacting the top of a goods train. It seems to me, or from our reporters on the ground, that may well have been the Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Express impacting a stationary goods train. The question is, how was that goods train and the Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Express on the same track? Was the Coromandel Express moved into a loop line by mistake? Is that what happened, as a result of which the first impact took place? And on the opposite line, the Sir M. Vishweshwaraya Howrah Superfast Express was coming up, and there was a secondary impact which took place over there. 3 trains impacting, 2 passenger trains, 2 very major passenger trains, and one goods train which was apparently stationary. That has resulted in this disaster. 238 people at least have lost their lives, more than 700 injured. But again, that number of 700 is we're slightly unclear. It could be more than that, but even if it is that number, the real worry is that many of those who are injured are critically injured. And so that's what the worry is right now. The Chief Minister of Odisha has been very alert to this situation from yesterday. He was at the control room of the Southeast Railways. He was at the crash site today. This is one of India's worst train disasters, and it's we do have the statistics on that. We'll bring that up later on, but it is one of the worst train disasters that India has seen in several years. The survivors moving towards Howrah at this stage. I am unclear at this stage about whether there would be another train which is moving south towards Chennai, but from what I understand, with 1,200 passengers, the train might be, one train may actually, I think all survivors are being pushed into the direction of Howrah. That's what we know at this stage. We are capturing the relief and rescue operation still on, and that will continue until rescuers are absolutely certain that there is nobody else over there who can be rescued. But at this stage, I fear that it's just extricating the remains of those who've tragically been killed in this accident that is now taking place. So that's what we have at this stage. We'll try and bring you a few more details of what exactly it is that we're hearing from the railways. So I'm just going to repeat what the railways have come out with in terms of their latest statement. The rescue operation is still going on, they say, at the derailment site at the Bahanagar Bazar station in the Kharagpur division. Train number 12841, the Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Super Express, Coromandel Express, and train number 12864, Sir M. Vishweshwaraya Howrah Superfast got derailed near Bahanagar Bazar railway station at 6:55 p.m. Last night. Accident relief trains with medical equipment, doctors and paramedics have rushed to the site from Kharagpur and Bhadrak. That took place yesterday itself. As per the information received till now, there are 238 casualties, 650 injured. Our numbers are 700 plus injured at this stage. They've been moved to hospitals. At Gopalpur, Khantapara, Balasore, at Bhadrak and Soro. On the basis of the information that we were given last night, there was a convoy of hundreds of ambulances which the Odisha government managed to deploy in very quick time. Now, the distances involved in getting the survivors to these hospitals in some cases were considerable, but the movement of these ambulances late at night, after 7 p.m, by the time they got over there to these hospitals, took place relatively quickly. Those who were okay were discharged soon. However, those who were not, they've been kept and they're being dealt with better at this stage. All right, my colleague Megha Prasad has been speaking to some ministers and others. Let's just listen in.
Mr. Pradhan, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. I believe you're already there in Balasore. Could you tell us what is the latest? What do you know?
Yesterday evening, there's an incident across Cuttack. The place Bahanagar. Three train collided with themselves. One goods train, two partner express train. Some people, there is number on their tool. There are certain people injured grievously. Now priority is to how to rescue them, put them into the hospitals, put them into the treatments. All the agency of central government and state government, local government are working on that data. Railway Minister, Mr. Vaishnaw, is himself already reached to the spot, and I am on the way. And primary concentration is how to assure people, how to rescue people from the spot. That is the priority.
Okay. Now, Mr. Pradhan, there is some bit of confusion about exactly what happened. Of course, the inquiry will tell us in much more detail what was the reason for this horrific accident. But the primary information that one is getting, and I want you to confirm to us if you can, is that the Coromandel Express actually went and collided with a goods train that was already standing on that track. Do you have the similar information, sir?
Yes, I am on the way to the spot within a few minutes I will be there in the spot. Then only I can say authentically what happened there. But I am also getting information, different kind of information from the media and from the local sources.
Okay.
Exactly. It's not fair on my part to say what happened exactly. But there is accident.
Right. And sir, when we are talking about a tragedy of this scale, you think the district of Balasore there or the nearby areas are equipped to deal with such huge numbers, or is the government now planning to do something more, or maybe airlift people outside?
More than 5 districts are involved in this operation.
Okay.
Treatment, up to AIMS Bhubaneswar.
Okay.
And Health Minister Mr. Manavia has already alerted the AIMS Bhubaneswar team. I also talked to them. And Cuttack state main medical point is Cuttack. Cuttack is also activated. And Balasore, Bhadrak, Jaspur, all these district headquarters are also activated. And I think primary treatment is already on. If some cases are looking into the nature of the medical injury, we have to think, and I think system is taking care of that.
Okay. Finally, Mr. Pradhan, any other measures that the government is mulling to take in this case at this moment? Anything extra that we do not know that you would tell us?
At this moment, our primary responsibility, we all are concentrating on rescue and relief work.
All right. All right, Mr. Pradhan. Thank you so much for speaking to NDTV.
Thank you.
In a deeply polarized world, where space for disagreement is shrinking, where take it or leave it defines discourse, we take a step back. A debate has many facets, perhaps no one right answer. Left, right and center, conversations that get to the core of the debate. Left, right and center with me, Vishnu Shom, 9 p.m. on NDTV 24/7.
Debates are essential not just for journalism but for humanity. It ignites our mind, opens it up for counter-opinion. To hear all views, opinion of all hues. Which is why the oldest running debate show on Indian news television is not 23 years old, but young at 23.
इस इनिशिएटिव को मैं अभिनंदन करता हूं कि सच को सच के रूप में पेश करने का उन्होंने साहस दिखाया.
So let us begin the big fight.
This is NDTV. No noise, no shouting, and most importantly, no lies. Our lead story tonight. Big international story India is closely watching. News that informs and inspires.
The news with Sonia Singh. Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7.
The only side we're on is yours.
It's undeniable. We're facing the crisis of the generation, climate change. And it's happening. Not in some far-off distant land or some millions of years away. It's happening now. And it affects everything we know and love. Information around climate change can often feel too distant, too jargony, too scary, too anxiety-filled, too technical, or too political. I'm here to change that. The Climate Explainers, part of NDTV's 6-month-long campaign, building a blueprint for climate action. The climate clock is ticking, but we're just in time.
In a deeply polarized world, where space for disagreement is shrinking, where take it or leave it defines discourse, we take a step back. A debate has many facets, perhaps no one right answer. Left, right and center, conversations that get to the core of the debate. Left, right and center with me, Vishnu Shom, 9 p.m. on NDTV 24/7.
Debates are essential not just for journalism but for humanity. It ignites our mind, opens it up for counter-opinion. To hear all views, opinion of all hues. Which is why the oldest running debate show on Indian news television is not 23 years old, but young at 23.
इस इनिशिएटिव को मैं अभिनंदन करता हूं कि सच को सच के रूप में पेश करने का उन्होंने साहस दिखाया.
So let us begin the big fight.
This is NDTV. No noise, no shouting, and most importantly, no lies. Our lead story tonight. Big international story India is closely watching. News that informs and inspires.
The news with Sonia Singh. Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7.
The only side we're on is yours.
It's undeniable. we're facing the crisis of the generation, climate change. And it's happening, not in some far-off distant land or some millions of years away. It's happening now. And it affects everything we know and love. Information around climate change can often feel too distant, too jargony, too scary, too anxiety-filled, too technical, or too political. I'm here to change that. The Climate Explainers, part of NDTV's 6th.
Welcome back. Just in case you're tuning in, more than 230 people have lost their lives in one of the worst train accidents in independent India. 3 trains collided in Balasore at about just before 7 p.m. last night. The effort now is really to try and extricate any bodies which do remain. The trains involved, the 12841 Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Express, Shalimar in West Bengal. It was headed to Chennai, and the train number 12864 Sir M. Vishweswaraya Howrah Superfast Express. It was going north. It originated at Bengaluru, and both these trains collided with, and there was a third train involved as well. That was a goods train which was stationary. But the collision point that you can see on your screen over there is Balasore in Odisha. Everybody's over there in terms of the Rail Minister, the Chairman of the Railway Board, the Odisha Chief Minister is present over there as well. But I think what needs to be looked at now is that, you know, they are officially saying about 650 injuries. As I understand it, that number is now, it's more than 700. And the condition of those who are actually are injured, it could be, those are the people that we now need to really worry about whether they survive the critical injuries, because what we have learnt is that there's a belief now that most of those who had to be saved alive or brought out of that wreckage alive have been brought out alive, and that the task now is to get out those who sadly have perished in this accident. We spoke earlier on to the Chief Secretary of Odisha, Pradeep Jaina. Here's what he said.
The latest situation of the train accident is like this. So far, around 900 passengers have been injured and are being treated in various hospitals in Balasore, Mayurbhanj, Bhadrak, Jashpur and Cuttack districts, including in the 2 medical colleges of Cuttack and Balasore. And so far we have got reports of 233 deaths. 233 dead bodies have been recovered, and the search and rescue operation is still going on. One buggy which has been very severely damaged and has been rammed into by another buggy. That only buggy is left. NDRF, Odisha Disaster Response Force and Fire Service personnel are still working with their machineries to cut the buggy and try to recover the living or the deads.
That was Pradeep Jaina, the Chief Secretary of Odisha. There was an eyewitness account as well, which we, before we do that, let's just reflect a little bit of this map on your screen right now that we actually see. Let me explain this to you. On the left-hand side of the screen is the Coromandel Express, the Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Express. It was going down. So the route, and there are dozens of stations, but these are some of the main ones. It had started at Shalimar. The crash took place in Balasore. It was ultimately going to go via Bhubaneswar, Vijayawada to Chennai. So that was going down. And on the right-hand side of your screen is the Sir M. Vishweswaraya Howrah Superfast Express. It was going up. It departed Bengaluru, Tirupati, Bhubaneswar, Balasore. It had crossed, as I last saw, more than 30 junctions. There were only 4 junctions left. The 4th one was its destination, Howrah, when it impacted the other 2 trains in Balasore. Why do I say 2 trains? Because this was a crash, a freak accident involving 3 trains, the third one being a goods train, which was apparently stationary. And so that gives you an idea of where all of this took place. We spoke to an eyewitness last night as well. Let's listen in.
मेरे को थोड़ा आग लग गया था, इसलिए सोया था। उसी टाइम जब गाड़ी पलटी हुआ तब हमारा नींद तोड़ गया, ठीक है। उस टाइम देखा हमारा जो बोगी में जितना आदमी था, रिजर्वेशन बोले तो जनरल का जैसा है, और 10-15 आदमी मेरा बदन के ऊपर पूरा आके गिर गया। जब पूरा आदमी तोल पर लगा दिया, उस टाइम मेरे को, मैं सबका नीचे था, ठीक है। मेरा हाथ में लगा, इधर बहुत दर्द हो रही है, इधर घर में लगा है। उसके बाद ऐसा देख रही है।
कितना लोग का डेथ हुआ है?
कितना लोग का डेथ हुआ बोले तो मैं जब ट्रेन का बोगी से बाहर आया तब देखा किसी का पैर नहीं है, किसी का हाथ नहीं है, ऐसा है। किसी का थोबरा बिगड़ गया है, ऐसा है, मालूम है। इसके अलावा जब मैं उधर से आया, उधर से फिर इधर वापस आके इधर ही बैठा था।
All right, so the number of injuries, and I think this is important, the Chief Secretary of Odisha, we'll try and play that out again because there was a lot of information. So if we can just cue up that interview with the Chief Secretary one more time. I believe he said that there were 900 injuries as opposed to the 650 which the railways have come out with. Our own accounts suggest 700. So between 650 and 900 injuries over there, 238, that number has been consistent for a while, of fatalities in this incident. This actually gives you a very clear idea of the crash site itself. The trains were the 12864 Sir M. Vishweshwaraya Howrah Superfast Express. That train going from Bengaluru up to Howrah, and then the second train was the Shalimar Chennai Express going south from Shalimar in West Bengal to Chennai. The crash site was in Balasore in Odisha. There was a third train which was involved. That was apparently a stationary goods train. So the preliminary information we have is, let's have that map graphic up as well if we can, so that I can just explain this to our viewers a little bit more clearly. Look at the left, and basically this is the train that's going south. So it started at Shalimar, right? This is the Coromandel Express, one of the most important, one of the most major trains in this country, passenger trains. The impact point was Balasore. It was headed to Chennai. Apparently this train, 12841, the Coromandel Express as it's known, went into a loop line. Why it actually went into that line we do not know, but preliminary information is that it did, and it was at this loop line that it made impact with a stationary goods train. Now a couple of bogies of this were obviously pushed to the side. They were derailed. They perhaps fell to the side onto the opposing track, from where the train on your right, which started in Bengaluru and it goes up to Howrah, it made an impact. So there was a side swipe which took place, and so therefore 3 trains in an accident over there. The train, the 12864, look at the right hand side of your screen, is that Sir M. Vishweshwaraya Howrah Superfast Express started in Bengaluru. There were only 4 stops left before it reached its destination, Howrah being that 4th stop. And in terms of the latest information that we've been able to get, it is that approximately 1,200 passengers, survivors, are on their way to Howrah now. They're on their way to Howrah now on whatever remains of the Sir M. Vishweshwaraya Howrah Superfast Express, and also a secondary train which have been deployed from Balasore. So the survivors are now on their way back to Howrah at this stage. Naveen Patnaik, the Chief Minister of Odisha, visiting a hospital. I believe this is a hospital. Let's just take a look. This is just coming in right now. Don't know about the location right now, but he's been very active since last night. He was at the railway control room. He reached the site of the crash of the train disaster this morning, and he's now, I believe, at a medical facility. So we're going to take a short break at this stage, come back with the very latest. One of India's worst train accidents, 238 people at least have lost their lives. The number of injuries ranged from between 650 to 900. Some of these are critical injuries. That is the real concern. On the right-hand side of your screen, the Chief Minister of Odisha at a primary health centre, a hospital where those who are injured are being treated. And that image on the left-hand side, a top angle of that crash site involving 3 trains, one of them a goods train. We'll take a short break. Gargi will be up next.
The top
In a deeply polarized world, where space for disagreement is shrinking, where take it or leave it defines discourse, we take a step back. A debate has many facets, perhaps no one right answer. Left, right and center, conversations that get to the core of the debate. Left, right and center with me, Vishnu Shom, 9 p.m. on NDTV 24/7.
Debates are essential not just for journalism but for humanity. It ignites our mind, opens it up for counter-opinion. To hear all views, opinion of all hues. Which is why the oldest running debate show on Indian news television is not 23 years old, but young at 23.
इस इनिशिएटिव को मैं अभिनंदन करता हूं कि सच को सच के रूप में पेश करने का उन्होंने साहस दिखाया।
So let us begin the big fight.
This is NDTV. No noise, no shouting, and most importantly, no lies. Our lead story tonight. Big international story. India is closely watching it. News that informs and inspires.
The news with Sonia Singh. Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7.
The only side we're on is yours.
It's undeniable. We're facing the crisis of the generation, climate change. And it's happening. Not in some far-off distant land or some millions of years away. It's happening now. And it affects everything we know and love. Information around climate change can often feel too distant, too jargony, too scary, too anxiety-filled, too technical, or too political. I'm here to change that. The Climate Explainers, part of NDTV's 6-month-long campaign, building a blueprint for climate action. The climate clock is ticking, but we're just in time.
In a deeply polarized world, where space for disagreement is shrinking, where take it or leave it defines discourse, we take a step back. A debate has many facets, perhaps no one right answer. Left, right and center, conversations that get to the core of the debate. Left, right and center with me, Vishnu Shom, 9 p.m. on NDTV 24/7.
Debates are essential not just for journalism but for humanity. It ignites our mind, opens it up for counter-opinion. To hear all views, opinion of all hues. Which is why the oldest running debate show on Indian news television is not 23 years old, but young at 23.
इस इनिशिएटिव को मैं अभिनंदन करता हूं कि सच को सच के रूप में पेश करने का उन्होंने साहस दिखाया।
So let us begin the big fight.
This is NDTV. No noise, no shouting, and most importantly, no lies. Our lead story tonight. Big international story. The big story we're tracking all day today, the terrible train accident that took place in Odisha, a terrible tragedy. There you can see a bird's eye view of the train accident site where 2 trains collided, and in fact one train derailed and the other train then collided into the derailed bogies. At least 238 people have been killed. That number has been revised in the latest bulletin. 650 people have been injured. Earlier the number was 900. Many have been treated treated and discharged from hospital. But there you can see what the site of the accident looks like, as these bogies are just lying on their sides. And remember, crews have been working through the night to cut through the carriages and rescue as many people as is possible. And because of this massive train derailment that took place last night at around 7:30, over 40 trains have had to be diverted, and the rescue and relief operations are still on. One update was that the last carriage was being cut through, and hopefully some survivors would also be pulled out from there. The railway minister visited the site of the accident this morning, and he said while an inquiry has been ordered, and that is something that is going to be looked at, that how could a train accident of this magnitude happen? It's the worst train accident we've seen in the country in 20 years. In fact, perhaps across the world as well. 238 people have been killed in this train accident. So the railway minister saying that while an inquiry, of course, will take place, the focus right now is on relief and rescue. Since last night, all resources have been pulled into the rescue operations. All hospitals, medical institutes, etc., have all been put on high alert. A railway minister also saying in case someone needs to be airlifted to get treatment at AIIMS, that too would be done. And Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik was also at the site of the accident this morning. One day of mourning has been declared for Odisha. In fact, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin also declared mourning, as many of the passengers are from Tamil Nadu as well. Now, the derailment of what we do know is the two trains involved were the Howrah Superfast Express and the Shalimar Chennai Central Coromandel Express. These are the two passenger trains involved. The derailment of 10 to 12 coaches took place, and this is what we know of the train accident. Derailment of 10 to 12 coaches of the Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Express, which was coming and caused them to fall on the track, onto the opposite track, and subsequently the Bengaluru Howrah Superfast Express that was coming from Bengal towards Bengaluru then collided with these derailed coaches. So one train was going from Tamil Nadu to Bengal, and the other coming from Howrah towards Bengaluru there. So there you can see how the train movement that was there, and from Shalimar you had the Coromandel Express going towards Chennai, and you had I beg your pardon, the Bengaluru train was going to Howrah, and it was at Balasore in Odisha that this crash took place, that this accident took place. Right now, what we do know is one train, as we said, the carriages derailed, and the other train then crashed into that train. The derailment of 10 to 12 coaches is what the authorities have reported of the Shalimar Chennai Coromandel Express, and caused them to fall on the opposite track. And that is where the Bengaluru Howrah Superfast then collided with these derailed coaches that was coming from Bengaluru to Howrah. The Bengal Chief Minister is also closely tracking all these developments. There's also a goods train that we're told was involved in the crash that was on a parallel track, and it's an accident involving, in fact, 3 trains. In all, more bodies are being pulled out currently. As we said, the Odisha Chief Minister was at the spot now. A focus also on the relief operations and getting aid to those who've been injured. There is a call for blood donation, and in fact, we can show you visuals of how people are lining up to donate blood in Balasore, as it's really something that is required, as so many people were injured due to the impact of this train accident. And one of the eyewitnesses even speaking of severed limbs that he saw as he tried to make his way out of the mangled coach. So a horrific accident. 43 trains have been cancelled. As we said, a state mourning also declared. We'll just take a look also at those visuals of people who have lined up in Balasore to donate blood, and blood donation drives also taking place to help those who have been injured, who are being treated in hospital. Well, let's go across to Parimal for more. And Parimal, for the moment, what is the latest? We believe the last coach has the efforts are to get into and rescue any survivors who may be in that. So the last coach has been entered?
निश्चित तौर पे एक अभी कुछ देर पहले जो हमारे सहयोगी हैं सौरभ गुप्ता जो वहां पर मौके पे मौजूद हैं, उन्होंने कहा कि एक जो कोच है उसमें रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन को अंजाम दिया जा रहा है और प्रोबेबली वो जनरल कोच बताया जा रहा है गार्गी, जिसमें सुबह भी तस्वीरें अभी कुछ वक्त पहले एनडीआरएफ के जरिए भी आई। तो अभी भी वहां पर जो यात्री हैं जो फंसे हुए हैं बोगी में, उनको निकालने का सिलसिला अभी चल रहा है। इसकी सीक्वेंस को अगर समझे तो पहली चीज तो ये कि हमें ये सुनिश्चित करना पड़ेगा कि इसमें कोई भी यात्री फंसा ना हो, पहली चीज। दूसरी नंबर चीज ये, जब हम सुनिश्चित कर लेंगे तब हम ट्रैक से बोगियों को हटाएंगे। तीसरी नंबर चीज ये, उसके बाद हम जो रेल, जिसको पटरी बोलते हैं, ट्रैक बोलते हैं, उस ट्रैक को देखना पड़ेगा कि उसको कितनी मेंटेनेंस की जरूरत है। और चौथी नंबर चीज ये कि जब ट्रैक का मेंटेनेंस हम देख लेंगे तो उस पर एक ट्रेन रन करवाई जाती है ऑपरेशनलाइज करने से पहले, तब जाके जो ट्रेनें उस रेट से गुजरने वाली होंगी उनको उस ट्रैक पे जाने की इजाजत होगी। लेकिन इस बीच 100 के आसपास उस रूट से गुजरने वाली ट्रेन प्रभावित हो चुकी हैं, कैंसिलेशन बहुत ज्यादा हुआ है, ट्रेनों का डाइवर्जन हुआ है। तो इसमें इस दुर्घटना की वजह से और बहुत सारे यात्रियों पर असर पड़ा है जो 100 ट्रेन में उस रूट से गुजरने वाले थे। तो ये जो है ये लंबा वक्त लग सकता है इसमें। अगर शाम तक भी ये सारी चीजें दुरुस्त हो, अगर हम ये कहें तो गलत नहीं होगा, क्योंकि जिस हिसाब से टॉप एंगल शॉट्स आ रहा है वो सीधे तौर पे बताता है कि बिल्कुल जिगजैग वाली स्थिति है। वहां पर किसी की बोगी कहीं पे है, किसी का इंजन किसी गुड्स ट्रेन पे चढ़ा हुआ है। तो ये तस्वीरें भी अपने आप में बहुत भयावह है और इसको पूरा क्लियर करने में या रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन को अंजाम देने में अभी भी एक लंबा वक्त लगेगा। और यही बात रेल मंत्री अश्विनी वैष्णव ने भी कहा कि सबसे पहले हमारी कोशिश इस बात को लेकर है कि रिलीफ और रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन को पूरी तरीके से अंजाम दिया जाए। उसके बाद हाई लेवल इंक्वायरी भी इसमें होगी और इंडिपेंडेंट रूप से कमिश्नर रेलवे सेफ्टी भी इसकी जांच करेंगे कि आखिर क्या वजह रही जिसके बाद ये पूरा वाकया निकल कर आया। लेकिन दर्शकों को अगर एक बार बताएं तो ये समझना बहुत जरूरी है कि 3 ट्रेन आपस में एक दूसरे से टकराई हैं। इसमें गुड्स ट्रेन भी है और कोरोमंडल भी है और साथ में यशवंतपुर सुपरफास्ट एक्सप्रेस जिसकी बात हम कर रहे हैं वो भी ट्रेन है। लेकिन आखिर कैसे एक दूसरे से ये टक्कर हुई है, एक दूसरे से आपस में टकरा कैसे गई, ये एक जांच का विषय जरूर है। लेकिन जो तस्वीरें दिख रही हैं उसके हिसाब से और जो रेलवे के सूत्र हमें बता रहे हैं कि बगल वाली ट्रैक पे, जिसको लूप लाइन बोलते हैं, मेन लाइन के ठीक बगल में लूप लाइन होती है और जब कोई एक्सप्रेस गुजर रही होती है तो जो गुड्स ट्रेन होती है उसको एक लूप लाइन पे लिया जाता है। तो गुड्स ट्रेन लूप लाइन पे खड़ी थी, कोरोमंडल उसी दिशा में जा रही थी जिस दिशा में जो गुड्स ट्रेन है वो खड़ी थी। अचानक कोरोमंडल जाके उससे टकरा गई और उसी बीच वहां से जो दूसरी ट्रेन गुजर रही थी, यशवंतपुर वाली ट्रेन, उस पर भी कुछ बोगियां गिरी। तो कुल 17 बोगियों को नुकसान पहुंचा है। और यहाँ पर दर्शकों को अगर बताएं कि ये जो आंकड़े आ रहे हैं उसके हिसाब से रेलवे ने अभी पुष्टि की है कि 238 लोगों की मौत हो गई, 238 जो जिंदगियां हैं वो नहीं बचाई जा सकी, 900 के आसपास लोग जो हैं वो घायल हैं। और एक मोटे तौर पे अगर एनालिसिस करें, अगर 17 कोच की बात करती हैं गार्गी, तो उसमें हर कोच में 3rd AC की अगर बात माने तो 70 के आसपास कैपेसिटी होती है पैसेंजर्स की, उसमें जिस हिसाब से बर्थ होते हैं। लेकिन जनरल कोच में यही तादाद बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाती है। एक जनरल कोच में 400 से 500 से 600 लोग भी समा सकते हैं और समा जाते हैं। और ये वो तबका होता है जो बहुत गरीब होता है, जिनको या तो बर्थ अलॉट नहीं होता है, बर्थ नहीं मिल पाता है, जिनके पास पैसों की कमी होती है या रिजर्वेशन नहीं ले पाते हैं। तो वो जनरल कोच की अभी बात हो रही है जो चेयरमैन रेलवे बोर्ड बता रहे थे, जिसमें रिलीफ और रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन को अंजाम फिलहाल दिया जा रहा है। उसके बाद ही सुनिश्चित हो पाएगा कि कैसे ट्रैक से इन बोगियों को हटाया जाएगा और बोगियों को हटाने के बाद ये जो पूरा रूट है उसको फिर एक बार बाकी ट्रेनों के लिए खोला जाएगा।
जी Parimal, जैसे आप हमको बता रहे हैं, Parimal, they're telling us about how this train accident took place yesterday, and you can see that bird's eye view of the bogies lying on the side. The last bogie is being cut into currently, and efforts are on to pull people out. Parimal, as you were telling us, one train, what we do know right now, and of course the inquiry will take place, is that one train crashed into the goods train, and then the derailment of the bogies happened, and the other train that was coming from Shalimar, that's from Bengal, then crashed into those bogies that were lying on the tracks. But also, Parimal, you know, the different versions, some are saying that there was a derailment, and then when the other train crashed into the derailed bogies, and that is how the goods train also got affected. So right now, the railway minister, as he said, that there is going to be an inquiry, but right now the focus is on the relief and rescue.
निश्चित तौर पे यही वजह जानने की कोशिश हमारे जैसे पत्रकारों ने भी की जब रेल मंत्री स्पॉट पे पहुंचे कि ये दुर्घटना कैसे हुई, क्योंकि अभी तक रेलवे की तरफ से बहुत पुष्टि तौर पे नहीं बताया गया है कि आखिर वाकई क्या वजह रही होगी जिसके बाद ये वाकया हुआ। जांच का विषय जरूर है गार्गी, उसमें जांच में हम ये समझ सकते हैं या ये हम समझ पाएंगे, जान पाएंगे कि आखिर किसकी चूक से ये पूरा वाकया सामने में निकल कर आया, पूरा मंजर से सामने में निकल कर आया। लेकिन अब तक रेलवे की तरफ से ये सीधे तौर पे नहीं बताया गया है कि वाकई क्या हुआ था कि तीन ट्रेनें आपस में एक दूसरे से वहां पर टकरा गई और टकराने के बाद ये मंजर सामने में निकल कर आया है। और यही बात रेल मंत्री से भी पूछा गया तो उन्होंने जांच पे इस बात को टाल दिया है। लेकिन जो रेलवे के सूत्र ये बता रहे हैं उनके मुताबिक लूप लाइन में गुड्स ट्रेन खड़ी थी, उससे कोरोमंडल ट्रेन टकराई। अब किन वजहों से उस ट्रैक पे चली गई ये हमें पता नहीं है, और उसी वक्त में दूसरी ट्रेन वहां पे गुजर रही थी। जब इसका डिरेलमेंट हुआ तो उस पे बोगी जा गिरी, तो उसके दो बोगी भी डिरेल हुए। तो ये धीरे धीरे हो सकता है कि और जानकारी खुले, लेकिन ये शुरुआती तौर पे ये जानकारी घटना के 15 घंटे बाद हमें मिल रही है। 15 घंटे गार्गी, 15 घंटे पहले तक ये जानकारी नहीं थी। 15 घंटे बाद ये जानकारी धीरे धीरे निकल कर आ रही है कि आखिर ऐसा कुछ हुआ है जिसके बाद ये पूरा जो भीषण दुर्घटना है वो वहां पर बालासोर में देखने को मिला।
Parimal, after a long time, you know, reporting on a train accident, as we said, the worst accident in 20 years, you know, one had expected, had been lulled into this sense of confidence that, you know, these sort of massive train accidents are now behind us. But even so, as Parimal was reporting, 3 trains involved in this. What the breaking news coming in right now is that the Prime Minister has convened a meeting on this train accident, and he has called for a meeting to take place in relation to the situation on the ground, all the rescue efforts, everything pertaining to this accident in which 238 people have died, over 600 people are injured. So that is the breaking news coming in right now. The Prime Minister convening a meeting on this train accident that has taken place. Megha joining us on the phone line for more. And Megha, give us the latest. The Prime Minister since yesterday has been monitoring this. He also, you know, there was also compensation that was announced, but now a meeting has been convened.
Well, that's correct. And yes, you are right when you say that the Prime Minister has been monitoring the situation. Well, it's a tragedy of a huge, huge scale. So only obvious that the Prime Minister would be involved in it. And he has, in fact, one of the first few tweets that we saw yesterday right after the accident was from the Prime Minister, and it was only then that one kind of understood that, you know, fatalities have happened, because he indirectly mentioned about it. Even at that point in time, we did not have any clear information coming in from the railways. Prime Minister today, from what we have been told from the sources in the government, is that he will be calling for a high-level meeting. So all the important and key officials who are present here in Delhi and those who are not will perhaps also be connecting through the video calls, and Prime Minister will be speaking perhaps to each of these stakeholders to understand what has happened. And essentially it is a review of the situation, stock-taking situation, what best can be done going forward from here. And I'm quite sure that this would also involve an understanding of what has happened, because the preliminary reports, as it is being suggested by those who are there on the ground, and even the railways, even though they are not issuing anything officially at this moment, many of them, while you speak to them, are saying that looks like there was a train already standing on the track, which was the goods train, and the Coromandel Express actually rammed into it. If that is true, then how did this happen? It's a huge, huge lapse on the part of the authorities who were dealing with the tracks and the movement of this particular train. And the situation got much more worse because a third train got involved in it. So the scale of this tragedy, this accident, has become much bigger than it would have been otherwise. You know, initially all of this was not known. Now it is. So there will be a very serious stock-taking situation today when the Prime Minister himself decides over, the meeting. That's one. The railway has already announced the name of an officer who will be looking into the lapses that have happened, will be investigating this. We are being told that perhaps a bigger committee will also be told to look into the accident and the reasons therein. So, all of this has begun.
Right.
We will await the details of Prime Minister's meeting.
All right, Megha, thanks so much for joining us with us. So the Prime Minister convening a meeting on this train accident. Naveen Patnaik, Odisha Chief Minister, was at the site, and 1 day of mourning has been declared for Odisha. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin also declared a day of mourning. Bengaluru Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee is also closely monitoring the situation. As I remember, one of the trains was moving from Bengaluru and going to Chennai. So that is the big breaking news right now. 238 people have died. The rescue operations are still underway. The last coach has been cut into, and efforts are on to rescue people and pull out people from that coach as well. If it's a summer season and a lot of train travel is taking place right now, but because this route is now disrupted, and the tracks also there on your screens is the number of trains that have been cancelled and diverted. So do check the websites and the Southeastern Railway website for any information. There are 43 trains in all that have been cancelled, while 38 trains have been diverted.